Look who's here. Sheriff Riggs is here.
Good morning.
Welcome.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, well, you get vacation too, right?
Occasionally. It's what they tell me anyway.
Well, now you can't go on the same vacation you went on this time. You have to go to a different place.
Right. This was a family visit, so I went out to Washington and visited with my dad.
There you go.
Mike is the county sheriff a few thousand miles away, and you hear what happened.
Oh, my phone did not stop ringing that first night, the night of the storm. And then, of course, I've got, we live here, and so I'm like, what's going on with my property, and what am I going to come home to,
right.
And I wanted to get up and move. And thankfully, my wife said, hey, we just need to let this go and enjoy the rest of our vacation. That being said, I still dealt with,
sure.
phone call after phone call after phone call for, obviously for this line of work, and then my other
hobby
that's turned into a full-time job now because of this storm.
From the storm, I mean, you guys were on top of it, all law enforcement. I mean, and it's still ongoing, right?
It is, yeah. One of the things I brought up in one of our management meetings on Wednesday today is everybody's come together. The fire department guys, the volunteers, the people from out of firefighters from out of town that were coming up here and helping out, and Team Rubicon that's here in town doing a lot of good work for our community. Most of it's pro bono,
right?
Just outstanding. People coming together. It's unfortunate we've had, I'm not going to throw any individual company under the bus here, but some of the out of town, out of state folks are taking advantage of people in town here, and that's unfortunate. We've heard some Team Rubicons being harassed right now by some of these out of town folks that are coming in and doing business here. And these are legitimate companies. They're great companies. But I think they're trying to use scare tactics to try to get people to use them versus getting work done pro bono. And now, you see the signs out there, Bemidji Strong, and the community came together for this 3 weeks, and they're helping each other out, helping their neighbor. And once this all kind of fades, and there's still all this cleanup to do, from a public safety side of it, now we're starting to see some of the unscrupulous things that happen, and people getting taken advantage of. So you got to be careful when you're choosing people to do your work, whether that's construction contractors doing roofs. Don't enter into anything without doing some research. Make sure that you're talking to your insurance companies and your insurance agents, hopefully locally, because the local ones here in town are the ones that are going to be able to help you through this. If you've got some insurance company out of Texas, they're not probably going to send an adjuster up here. But if you are finding yourself questioning something, look into it. Don't just get several bids for different things. That's the best thing that you can do. Is if somebody comes in and they're telling you one thing, and then say, well, I want to get a second bid. Don't let them try to scare you into well, if you don't take us now, we're not going to be able to get to you. That's not how that works. I mean, if people are looking for work, people are looking for work, and you're going to get it done. I understand that people want to get things done and wrapped up sooner than later, but you're always better off by checking into other contractors and seeing what prices to get the best bang for your buck.
And I imagine there's more work than even with people out of town here.
Yes.
Part of the labor force is still not enough.
Right. Somebody asked me, because I do trees, they're like, aren't you upset with the fact that there's all these out of town tree companies in town? I'm like, there's only 4 of us in town. It would take us 30 years to do all the cleanup that it would happen. And we just don't, you just can't do that. So you have to have these folks come in. It's just a matter of, making sure you're getting what you're paying for. Make sure you talk to, get a second quote. It's not going to hurt to have another company come in and give you an idea of what their costs would be for this.
And there are also I've noticed they're like professional disaster groups that do this. They travel all over the country and
Yes, yep. A lot of these folks send crews to other states during every natural disaster as a part of their income, and that's great because we need those
Right.
folks. It's just make sure that you're doing the best for you, not for them.
What, like 2 days after the storm here, northern Beltrami County had a tornado?
Yeah,
What's the response like? I mean, yes, there are people in Grigla and there are people that live around there, but the population isn't what it is here.
Correct.
What's that response like?
We go with a lot of reported information. I know. I think it was last year I went up there and looked at the flood damage that happened in Grigla. They're just kind of in this weird. It's got like I want to say ecosystem, but they're in their own like weather pattern up there where they get all kinds of weird stuff. And thankfully, no injuries again. The city of Grigla is actually in Marshall County, and then if you look at the Beltrami number 1, County Highway number 1, everything basically east of that is Beltrami County, and everything on the west side which is Grigla, is in Marshall County. Mm-hmm. So Grigla is not very populated either, but like you said, we have the 4-town area, and up in that neck of the woods, I think when people joke about the population density of Minnesota, the further north you go up there, what divides us out as a state as being like 6 people per square mile.
perfect. Anything else going on?
Yeah. This coming, I think it's the 14th or 15th of July, precast walls for the new jail will start arriving.
Whoa.
And walls will start going up. They estimate about 55 days to 60 days for all of the walls to go in. So, potentially by mid-September, we could be looking at what would look like a real building out there.
Well, there's a lot of walls in a jail, right?
Yeah. So the funny thing is they can't put the roof on yet because when the walls go up, then they have to have a crane come in and set the cells, the pre-made cells. And so it's very, very interesting to see how those things are built. We actually watched it happen at another facility, and the margins for moving that kind of stuff around in a building like that gets really tight.
I imagine.
Yeah. So
yeah, that last one to put in.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier to do before the walls are done?
Well, you would think so, but I don't know. I'm not the engineer here, so I can't say how all of that would go.
Yeah, because there's no fudging. If you're building a stick house, you
Yeah.
trim a 2x4 a little bit more, but
The sheetrock guy will fix it.
right, he'll just mud that. Kind of hard to mud a prefab jail cell.
Right.
So there's the regular wall, and then the cell has its 4 walls?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So the exterior of the building, that's the precast walls. They're precast concrete that'll go up, and they use a crane to set those in place on the footings. And then once the walls go in, they pour the slab, or they'll pour portions of the slab as they're, the building is actually kind of funny because it's built in, like there's 3 or 4, I can't remember now, 3 or 4 different sections of building. And I would assume that, they're not going to wait for all of the walls to be able to pour the slab. I would imagine that'll be taking place as walls go up around. But it's going to be, drive by, take a look. It's
Rubberneck.
Certainly interesting, that's for sure.
We've had our share of rubberneckers the last few
Oh,
weeks.
I tell you what, I will give you a couple of pieces of safety advice. There's a couple of things that I don't want to say I lost my cool with, but I kind of like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. First of all, the first thing was with the storm is when I got back, I went into L&M to try to find I hit a rock with my chain on one of my big saws, and there's nothing left for chains in L&M at the time. And they had about 2 chainsaws in each rack for either Husqvarna or Stihl. And I just thought, oh my goodness, there are people that have no business with chainsaws running around
Right.
with something way bigger than they needed just because it was the last saw on the rack. So be very careful out there when you're running a chainsaw. And just so you guys know, chainsaws and ladders do not mix at all. Do not cut trees on a ladder. And then the other big safety thing was between Bemidji and Northern Township and all of the tree debris that's going out to the roadside. It's really taking away visibility at driveways and county roads and township roads. So be very careful when you're pulling, out of an area that's obstructed by tree debris. Sure. And it's going to be months of cleanup as it pertains to, getting that stuff up. Just make sure that you're using due diligence. Give yourself extra time to get to and from, locations, and don't peek out and gun it because you think you're good. Make sure you're good before you come out. So
I was a little surprised. So I went on my little adventure this morning, north of town. Old 71. All those trees that are down between Slim's and the north access. And yeah, they did fresh oil and rock on that road. Around all these trees.
Wow. That's something. So when we say, what are you doing this weekend? You're doing trees?
For the next year, you're doing trees?
Trees, yeah. I try to give myself a day off. I do have a local family reunion, so we're going to have some fun with that tomorrow, and then it's back to work. So
I did hear the mayor say like a week ago, current estimate for trees down is 9 million. I'm like,
wow.
Whoa. Well, I asked the guy at the DNR in the forestry department, like, how many trees are there in an acre? It was about 200. So that's 50,000 acres worth of trees that went down.
So I heard a different estimate from our emergency manager, Chris Muller. And then in addition to that, I think one of our foresters, and I don't know if this was just, I don't know what area this covers, but I had heard somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 trees, which to me seems a little bit more reasonable. But
well, that could be the entire 10-mile swath that went 80 miles.
Right. Yeah.
In distance. So
yeah. Who knows? This may just be, that figure may be limited to, a certain area that I'm just not familiar with. But that's the initial estimate that I'd heard was 50,000 trees. 9 million is a lot of trees.
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Well, up over here on Carr Lake, a bend as you go past the river, they've got that pretty much cleaned out. That whole thing was bent over. That whole plantation.
Yeah, there are places around Bemidji that will never look the same in our lifetime. It is crazy the amount of force that wind had. The night we had the fireworks on July 2nd, I was out on the lake with our boat and water division. We were doing some safety enforcement on the water prior to the fireworks. I saw a Versatube boat canopy 20 feet up in a tree on the east side of the lake. The canopy wasn't there anymore, but can you imagine the amount of force that it takes to lift? Those aren't, I know they're made out of aluminum, but they're still not light.
Right.
What it would take to lift that out of the water and then throw it 20 feet up in a tree? That's crazy.
I think it was flying them. Literally. Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by.
It's good to be back.